All right, folks, we are back again with Achala ji for more on nakshatras, and today she's going to tell us about the Beeja mantra for Jyeshta Nakshatra. So welcome, Achala ji. Namaste. Welcome.
Namaste. Goodbye, Ji. Let me share my screen. Okay. So today we'll be talking about Jyeshta Nakshatra, and this is one more nakshatra of the solar plexus chakra. We can see its Beeja mantra here. It's the Beeja mantra Dham. And just when we are still looking at this picture, I would like you to, for a moment, just have a look at all the Beeja mantras actually of solar plexus chakra. We are not talking about them so much. But if we look at them, they're all very powerful syllables, actually, like dam, dham, nam, tam. These are like sounds that really awaken the feeling of power inside. And even when I was studying a little bit Sanskrit alphabet, it was said that these particular mantras, this particular group of syllables was really meant to awaken power within us and the feeling of power. And I think that this particular feeling of power is really, in a way, culminated in Jyeshtha, which is ruled by Indra himself. And it's even very symbolic that the sign of Scorpio, it starts with Indra and it finishes with Indra. So it's all about this power, awakening power, and also harnessing power, right? Because it's not a big deal to just awaken power within us, but to really harness it in a proper way, that's a very powerful life lesson that can be very much seen through the life of Indra himself. So let us first start with the mantra for Jyeshta Nakshatra. Om Dham Jyeshta Nakshatraye Namaha. Om Dham Jyeshta Nakshatraye Namaha. Om Dham Jyeshta Nakshatraye Namaha. So that's the Beeja mantra for Jyeshta Nakshatra. And just to have a close look at certain verbs that it gives birth to. So first, the Beeja mantra itself, dham, is to blow, but it's not to blow like the wind is blowing, but to really blow, right? To really hit. And then we have dan, to run, and which is amazing because actually if we look at the stories of Indra, there are so many stories when he was literally running away, so one another interesting thing. And then we have dhana, wealth. So one more very important theme of Jyeshtha, which is very often very much also wealth-oriented and loves this feeling of wealth and actually power through wealth also. Then we have also ni, to think. So that's perhaps more Mercury's side of this nakshatra, which is also very much about thinking, very intellectual. And then dhur, to endure. So again, the fighting Shakti, Arohana Shakti of Jyeshta Nakshatra. And also this nakshatra is connected to Kurma Vayu. And it's so interesting because Kurma Vayu is responsible for blinking and opening the eyes. And now when we think, what is the animal for Jyeshta Nakshatra? It's rabbit or hare. And even in ancient Egypt, hare was especially really considered very auspicious animal and very spiritual animal because that's the only animal that is born with eyes wide open already. So that's a very beautiful thing in a way. And Jyeshta Nakshatra is, I think, say, Ashlesha is similar also here, but Jyeshta is very alert nakshatra also because when its Shakti is Arohana, so it's a Shakti to fight, a Shakti to know your enemy also. And very often Jyeshtha people, they are very alert about what is happening in their environment. And they are observing very carefully what are the intentions of the people around them. And of course, sometimes depending on which planet is sitting in Jyeshta Nakshatra, they can be even a little bit paranoid and seeing enemy where there's no enemy at all in reality. And also perceiving a lot of people like enemies and not being very social also nakshatra, I must say, because Jyeshtha is still very much in the head because that's the Mercury's nakshatra. At least this is how I perceive it. So Jyeshta Nakshatra is also creating a Gandanta, And we can see that both Gandantas, the one between Pisces and Aries, and between Scorpio and Sagittarius, they're exactly between the Swadhisthana chakra, the element of water, and solar plexus chakra, which is the element of fire. So this is quite interesting that exactly there, the Gandantas are actually falling, because I think that this conflict between water and fire within our energy body is like the most basic, the most primordial conflict, actually, because fire is very much about focus, about going straight to the goal, about achieving things right here, right now, because also impatience come also in pocket with that. And then we see water element, which is completely opposite. Water is not about this intense transformation. Water is rather allowing things to settle down on their own and allowing to just let go and let go with the flow. So here these two Gandantas are, especially in my feeling, very much reflecting this primordial conflict between water and just letting things go and accepting them the way they are, and between actually focusing and using our willpower. And particularly the story of Indra, how he was defeating Vritrasura, is really, really beautifully revealing that primordial conflict, and is showing also what is happening if we abuse this power of transformation, will and willpower in a wrong way. So that's a beautiful picture of Vritrasura. And it's very interesting because Vritrasura was actually a great saint in previous lifetime. So he was very powerful, but also he was much more knowledgeable than Indra. And it really reveals how in Jyeshta Nakshatra, Indra's pride was literally defeated by a demon, because he saw that a demon is a greater devotee than him, and it was shocking for him completely. It was like it was even more shocking to him than the fact that demon is more powerful than him, and his pride was completely crushed. So I think that this primordial also mistake of Jyeshta Nakshatra is this pride that we are perfect, right? Jyeshtha, the eldest, the chiefmost, and not realizing that there will always be somebody superior than us. You know, ultimately it will be even God himself. So God will always somehow find a way to put us down. And this is very, 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 how to say, a very common theme also when solar plexus chakra is not properly balanced. Then this pride can very easily awaken, because we have this feeling of power, of fire, and we can very easily forget to really be humble, which are the qualities more of the first chakra and second chakra. And one very interesting thing that I noticed particularly, if we look at all these nakshatras of solar plexus, and if we think a little bit about this story of Vritrasura and Indra, actually each of these nakshatras is telling a part of this story, which is really beautiful. So we see it starts in Chitra Nakshatra, which is still in the heart chakra. And where is Twashtar, right? Because Twashtar is a very important person in this story, because firstly, he helps Indra to make this weapon. His son plays also a very important role here, because his son Vishvarupa actually was a priest for Indra for some time. And also Twashtar, ultimately, he invokes Vritrasura himself. So Twashtar is playing a very, very important role in the whole myth itself. And then we have Swati Nakshatra, and Swati is ruled by Rahu. So Rahu is this primordial, how I would say that, rebellion, you know, the rebel. He wants to rebel against things. And this is actually where Indra himself, he actually disrespected his guru, because Guru Brihaspati came to his court, and Indra said, Indra really disrespected him. He still kept drinking soma, and he didn't acknowledge the presence of the guru. So Brihaspati, he just went away. You know, he said, I don't have any business here. I'm not going to fight for my position. But then what happened? That when demigods disrespected their guru, demons, of course, got to know about that very quickly. So they started to worship Shukracharya very much. And because of that, demons actually became very powerful just due to the worship of their guru. They became more powerful than demigods, and they started to attack heavens. And then Indra, of course, he didn't know what to do now, right? So he ran and he tried to find Brihaspati, but Brihaspati, by his mystic power, he hidden himself. because so Indra was left alone. And he thought to himself, who can be his guru, his priest, at least for some time, so he can save heavens? And then came Twashtar with the idea that his son, Vishvarupa, who is partially a demon himself, actually can become a priest. And I associate Vishvarupa very much with Vishaka Nakshatra, actually, because Vishaka has same yoni like Chitra. So it comes from Twashtar into Vishaka. And also what is interesting, that Vishvarupa had 3 heads. So again, this split of Vishaka is visible here. And of course, Vishvarupa was performing prayers to Indra. He also gave the Narayana Kavacham prayer to Indra. And then one day, Indra just figured out that when Vishvarupa is making the oblations for the demigods, he's also doing silently one oblation to the demons. And of course, Indra got enraged again, and he actually killed Vishvarupa by cutting his heads. And he made one more mistake, again disrespecting the guru, disrespecting Brihaspati, Jupiter, right, which is who is presiding over Vishaka Nakshatra. And again, he was in trouble, because when Twashtar figured out that his son was disrespected, he also got enraged, and he made a huge yagna just to invoke a demon who will destroy Indra. And here comes a very interesting part of Jyeshta Nakshatra, actually, which is actually the power of word in Mercury, because it's Mercury Nakshatra and it's solar plexus chakra. So it shows a very huge power of word, actually, here. The Ashlesha is somehow similar here also, that we need to be very careful what we are talking about, because when Twashta was making this yagna to invoke Vritrasura, he made a mistake. He wanted to say, oh, please, you who are going to defeat Indra, arise from the fire. But he spoken something slightly differently, and because he just made different accent in the sentence, and he destroyed everything through that. So he said instead, oh, please, you who are going to be defeated by Indra, arise. And when he figured that out, he was like completely in despair, but he just accepted that that's the fate and that's how it must be. And of course, Vritrasura arose from the fire, and he was ready to defeat Indra. And of course, he covered whole heavens. He basically speaking, even restrained the clouds themselves from bringing rain. So the whole universe was disbalanced then. And Indra again, he was again so poor, and he again doesn't know what to do, because Vritrasura is more powerful and more knowledgeable than him. So he went to Rishi Dadichi and actually asked Rishi Dadichi to leave his body and to give him his bones, because Rishi Dadichi received a boon from Shiva to have bones like a diamond. So his whole body was full of energy and spiritual energy. And of course, Rishi Dadichi gave up his body. And that's, I think, kind of theme of Anuradha Nakshatra, because it's very much about this sacrifice and sacrificing ourselves for others. And from these bones of Rishi Dadichi, Twashtar ultimately made the Vajra weapon for Indra. And with that, Indra finally, in Jyeshta Nakshatra, he actually defeats Vritrasura. But even though he defeated Vritrasura, what is very interesting, his pride was actually crushed, because Vritrasura was there telling him things which Indra could not comprehend, because Vritrasura was a devotee in previous lifetime. So he was literally instructing Indra, why are you such a coward? You received the divine Narayana Kavacham. Have you no faith? Go and defeat me. And I also think that this is very somehow beautiful, because now Saturn is also dwelling in Jyeshta Nakshatra. That's why I felt it's nice to honor him with telling all this story, because really Jyeshta Nakshatra, especially when Saturn is there, it's like he's bringing us obstacles, but not to really bring us down, but really he's saying this like Vritrasura, look, I am here. You defeat me with your willpower, with your faith, but have this faith in the divine and everything will work perfectly. And that's a really beautiful story to meditate about. And this story can be found in Srimad Bhagavatam in 6th canto, if I remember well. And I definitely recommend to everybody to read the story about Vritrasura and Indra, because I was crying when I first read that, how beautiful it is, how beautiful are actually the words of Vritrasura himself. So it's really, really touching story. And to finish this presentation, because it's already very long, here are the chakra energies of Jyeshta Nakshatra. So, of course, from the Mahadasha ruler, this is Mercury, Vishuddha Chakra. The Beej mantra resides still in solar plexus chakra in Manipura Chakra. And of course, this is sign of Scorpio, so also Manipura Chakra. So we see that these two chakras here especially are very powerful. And also the Padas are Swadhisthana and Muladhara chakras mostly. So basically speaking, the heart chakra and third eye chakra are missing here. And how I feel that this is perhaps what is giving Jyeshta Nakshatra sometimes this tendency to be overly calculative, because there's no this heart chakra active, neither third eye. So this is all about this power, and really calculativeness is also very visible here sometimes. So I think that's all from my side, and I'd really love to hear what you have to say about that, Dr. Paiji.
Achala, I have to say, whenever somebody talks about mythology, I just get mesmerized. I go into a trance, and you're so beautifully narrating the story of Vrithasura and Indra. I was completely spellbound. It was so beautifully explained. So I think one of the things that I wanted to add to this. I think you covered most of it. I just wanted to add a couple of tidbits of information about Jyeshta Nakshatra. Is what you beautifully explained here is this nakshatra doesn't have the heart chakra and the third eye chakra. So many of the decisions that the Jyeshtha makes are heartless decisions. It's more of Indra is a sort of Indra was later on given the role of demigod and the king of the gods. But if you see his ways, he's very manipulative, very secretive. At the same time, it's all about supremacy and dominating. It's a very dominating nature, and every time he suspects that anybody can be an enemy and could be more powerful than him, and so he goes all his way out to really neutralize even the people that he suspects potentially
Yeah.
could be a danger to him and to his throne and to his position. And the Gandanta is something that I started thinking about it. There are many explanations people have given, many interpretations. One of the interpretations that I've heard and which I found it very useful is to say that these two Gandantas, I mean, whatever Gandantas you're talking about, is about the water sign, which is, you talk about Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. These are all watery signs going
Yes.
into the fiery signs. Fiery signs, as in you have Sagittarius, you have Aries, and you have Leo. Now, this is the midpoint where the Gandanta is formed between the fiery and the watery signs. Now, one of the interpretations somebody told me is a watery sign. Water is all about past, and fire element is all about future. So when you come into the Gandanta zone, you're actually reliving the moment of the present. And that's why the Gandanta become handling the knot, the spiritual knot, or handling the karmic knot, Gandanta, which means end of the knot.
Yeah.
Antya means to the end, and Ganta means knot. So you are almost come to this knot between a past and a future, and you are in that knot which is the present. And that's why many of them go through this. They are not able to. Many of us either live in the past or we live in the future, but nobody could take the acceptance of what is happening in the present. I think when planets are transiting this Gandanta, they are always bringing the focus back on to the present and trying to bring the focus of saying that you have to do these actions now. Now, beautifully, you explain the story of Vrithasura and Indra. And one of the stories in one of the Puranas that I read, I think you quoted about Srimad Bhagavatam. And there are multiple stories of the same story with different flavors given in different Puranas. Or pretty much it's the same. But one of the explanations was Vritrasura was such a big dragon demon that when he opened his mouth, his mouth was so big that his jaws, the lower jaws, touched the earth, and the upper jaws actually touched the heavens. So big was his mouth, and it is believed that Indra, he just gulped Indra into his mouth. It was so huge, he just ate up Indra, and Indra goes to his stomach, and from there he just uses his vajra and breaks open the stomach, and he comes out. Now, it was beautifully explained that you were talking about that this Gandanta that you're talking about between Jyeshtha and Mula is between your Manipura and your Swadhisthana. So that region is the most weakest, I think, because it's in the Gandanta between Swadhisthana and uh, between Manipura. And I am trying to interpret to see if Indra actually chose that part of the body of Vritasura to really attack and to come out, because that is the weaker part, is between Manipura and Swadhisthana. So he came out of the belly because he thought that that is the best way to kill the demon.
Mm. That is amazing. Wow.
This is just an
Yeah.
interpretation. I don't know whether it's correct or it's wrong, but it's just an interpretation that I had in my mind. So I think this is one of the best nakshatras that I've come across. I'm very fascinated by Jyeshtha and
Mm.
especially Kritika. And you beautifully explained, about the son of Twastar, which is, Vishwarupa. He was also called as Three Shiras. Three Shiras means three-headed. Three heads is called Three Shiras. And you've explained that, its connection with the Vishaka Nakshatra. So it's a very great thing. You're trying to connect all of these, and Dadichi with Anuradha, because he sacrificed his body for the bones. Um, and so I think this was a best explanation I've seen for Jyeshta Nakshatra. So thank you very much, Achalaji. It was
Thank
really,
you very
really
much, Paiji.
good. So we'll meet again tomorrow to discuss about Mula Nakshatra. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.